Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed my last video on the marketing funnel. And if you enjoyed that video, I kind of wanted to build upon that video with a little bit deeper dive into kind of what it takes to break down that first step of awareness and give you some ideas of where to start in building your awareness with your brand, your identity, your business. Kind of the first things that people teach you about building your brand is who are the customers you're aiming for? What are your customer personas that you're reaching out to? To give an example, for my videos, when I was making Pokemon videos, I kind of was reaching for people my age. I hope they kind of acted like me. They kind of had the same sense of humor I had. And I was kind of making videos for myself, which there's not a lot of people out there who are like me. So it was hard to kind of narrow down a single persona, let alone a wide aspect of personas. And what you're going to want to do to kind of target a bunch of people is make a few personas. Think of a few people you kind of want to target your content to, or your merchandise to, or your abilities to, and kind of have them in mind when you're making content. Throughout this whole experience, it's also important to keep in mind the 4 parts of the funnel, which are awareness, consideration, conversion, and loyalty. And like I said, awareness is kind of the easiest part. That's why it's at the widest point of the funnel. Is it's easier to get your voice out when there's so many platforms to do so. I've been playing around with my Instagram to see what actually works and what doesn't work, because my Instagram, I don't really post the same content I post to TikTok or to YouTube on my Instagram. And it's fun to see if I tag it a certain way or phrase the description or leave no description at all on it, kind of see where it goes and what it does. And it's in some examples of that, or some of my best described videos and captioned videos get no views when all I do is throw keywords and hashtags, and it'll get 1,000 views in a day, 2,000 views in a day, which is kind of the same thing happens with my YouTube shorts. If I title it like a question and tag very specific key points in the video, I'll get 15,000 views, 3,000 views, 10,000 views just by simple keywords and a simple title. But when I try to muddle everything down, put 100 hashtags into the descriptor, put a big long description, put a big title, it doesn't really get the push that you would expect it to, given the algorithm of the platform. And the algorithm is another thing that you kind of need to keep in mind when you're posting. Is LinkedIn's algorithm is different than Twitter's algorithm, which is different than TikTok's algorithm, which is different than YouTube's algorithm. And even though you can still take content from each platform and post it to each other, there's no saying that it's going to get the same amount of exposure or the same amount of presence or applaud rate that content would get on any other platform. To break this down for you, awareness is the widest, because you're going to get a whole bunch of eyes on you. You're going to get a ton of impressions. A whole bunch of people are going to see what you're putting out there, but it's not going to click with the vast majority of people when you are trying to build a niche. Okay, so here is a small example of using a question as a keyword, putting no hashtags or anything, and putting no description. This was a test on if I can just make a interesting thumbnail and talk about a hotter topic at the time, what would my analytics look like? And here's a small example. So I got 8.3 thousand impressions. And impressions are when somebody looks, they sees your thumbnail, they either click on it or they don't. And that's an impression. It got 8.3 thousand impressions and it got 180 views. So out of over 8,000 people that saw my thumbnail and my video, only almost 200 people clicked on it. And that is broken down through impressions click-through rate. So my click-through rate is 1.7%, which is average for me. But if I was a big YouTuber, that wouldn't be very good, because that means only almost 2% of the people that saw my thumbnail clicked on it. That's good for me. Exposure is exposure. Building your brand is hard when you're starting from the bottom. That's a small example of what a good title will do for a subject people are interested in without any keywords or hashtags. But if you're building a YouTube channel, or you're building a brand, or you're building anything in the marketing aspect, it's important to play around, develop what works for you, because not what works for me isn't going to be what works for Mr. Beast. What works for me isn't going to be what works for Joe Schmo. Like, different audiences, different niches, different reach. And it's important to play around. If something's not working, like one of my most recent videos got 7 views compared to the 200 views. It's up to me to go back and look at what worked with that video compared to what worked with another video, and look at the analytics, look at what works, and figure out what works for me, and dive deeper into that and figure out who my audience is. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned a little bit with this little rant, but I'm going to keep making videos on this because this is interesting to me. I enjoyed this side of marketing and e-commerce. So once again, if you guys like this video, leave a like, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you.